Hello, Local Matters family. Welcome to our YouTube channel. As you know, we've only done a few YouTube videos, but this is a platform that we really would like to expand. So we are glad that you are here today for a really good discussion about civic engagement and what it takes for us as registered voters and taxpayers to get what we need, want, deserve, and expect from the government organizations that serve us. But before we get to that, we want to give you a little bit more background on what Local Matters is about and what we've been doing. Local Matters has been around for about 2.5 years, and we've focused on the Augusta, Georgia area because that's where we're based. We've talked about issues also, though, that affect all residents in the state of Georgia and services provided by the state. The purpose of Local Matters is to make you a more confident voter and a more engaged citizen. And of course, the show is brought to you by my management consulting firm, and that is Janice Allen Jackson and Associates. While I, for a living, provide services to local government organizations and nonprofit organizations, this is a mission that is near and dear to my heart. I want to take what I have learned as a career local government professional and spread that knowledge to you so that you can indeed get what you believe you deserve from the government organizations to which you pay taxes and fees. Throughout 2022, it's been a big election year. We've had candidates on the show, mostly again from the Augusta area, but also we've had candidates for various statewide offices in Georgia. If you want to get more familiar with those people who are going to be on your ballot on November 8th, we ask you to go to SoundCloud, Spotify, or Apple Podcast to listen to the Local Matters podcast of Georgia and hear what those candidates have to say. For today's episode, however, we focus on this idea of why we should become more engaged, what the responsibility of being a citizen really is, and how we can hold local elected and state elected and even federal elected officials accountable. So thanks for joining me for this video. I do ask because we want to build our following and we want to make this great information that we have more accessible to everyone. We ask that if you are listening today, please go to Facebook if you are on that platform, find the Local Matters podcast of Georgia, and follow us so that you will get notifications when we post about various activities that are taking place in our community, as well as when we post new episodes. We produce a new episode here on Local Matters every single week. So there's always some good content for you to listen to and become familiar with. I always say podcasts are the greatest vehicle to get knowledge because you can listen while you are doing other things. If you are taking a walk, you're on a drive, you're cleaning house, whatever the case may be, there's time to go to your cell phone or your other device, click on one of those platforms, and you can listen directly from Facebook if you choose, or from Spotify, SoundCloud, or Apple Podcast. Click on an episode, learn something about what we're sharing that particular week, and in and of itself, that knowledge creates engagement. So again, please subscribe to us here on YouTube if you haven't. Please follow us on Facebook if you haven't, and become a regular part of the Local Matters family. Local Matters family, today we are joined by Reverend Christopher G. Johnson. He is Executive Director of the Greater Augustus Interfaith Coalition, and he's going to talk about a number of things that are very closely related to the overall mission of Local Matters. At the beginning of every episode, I talk about how Local Matters is here to help people become more confident voters and more engaged citizens. So, Reverend Johnson and I are just going to have a conversation about what civic engagement really means, how you can get more involved, whether we truly have a representative democracy here in the United States, and, you know, what resources are out there to help people exercise their right to vote. How are you doing today, Reverend Johnson?
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Ms. Jackson, for inviting me to come in and join you on Local Matters. We appreciate the opportunity to enlighten and discuss our position and where we stand regarding to citizen participation and also civic engagement.
Wonderful, wonderful. And as you mentioned that term, what really does citizen engagement mean to you?
Well, citizen engagement in the various forms of governments and various forms of systems of government are quite different depending on the type of structure that you have. In America, we have the representative bureaucracy, we have representative government that operate what we call like a republic, in which the citizens get together to elect someone to serve as their voice. The citizens get together and appoint someone to serve as their representative voice. And that person goes and engage in a broader system, whether they go into Congress, whether they go to state legislators, whether it goes to county commission, board of education, they go to represent their people. And so when in our system, which this is a republic, our system requires that the citizens make sure that the person that they elect or they appoint to represent them and their interests, because according to our Constitution and according to the parameter of the United States of America, we are a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. And that has to hold true with civic engagement. We do not go and put someone in office, then blame them, as which a lot of people do, especially in the Augustarian area. They're always blaming the politicians. They're always blaming the commissioner, blaming the school board. But it's really the citizens' responsibility for what they have, who they elect, and also whether or not they stay in touch with the ones they elect.
And, you know, you bring up an interesting point. We complain, and then sometimes we go vote, and sometimes we don't go vote. And even fewer times than that, people who are complaining actually put themselves out there to run for office themselves. So how is it, what is truly the responsibility of the citizen to make sure that they get the outcomes that they're looking for?
Well, the citizens have opportunity to aggregate together. Citizens have opportunity to band together. Citizens have opportunity to pick up the phone and talk to the one they elect. They also have an opportunity to go back and caucus among themselves, their friends, and the folk in their precinct to decide whether or not the person they electing are doing their holding, not being accountable to the people who elect them. So, like I said, the citizens are really responsible. I heard someone the other day talking about, you know, this country is like an oligarchy because only a few people make decisions, but that's only because the people allowing that to happen. The Constitution of the United States does not allow really the politician to make decisions without full involvement from the citizen. I mean, HUD and none of our agencies in this country allow the politician to do anything without involving, to ask the question to the citizens, to reach out to their constituencies to make sure that they are doing what their constituency asks them to do. But here we find in our system is that we have such a low percentage of people who actually engage in the process. So the politicians only listen to the small percentage of people who elect them.
Right.
That lead to greater people, you know, their voice may or may not get heard. Their needs may or may not get addressed. Their concern may or may not. And yet the citizens complain, but it's the citizens' responsibility to remain constantly involved in the whole process. Citizens of America have two responsibilities. One responsibility to vote, and the other responsibility to serve as jurors.
serve as jurors? Is that what you said?
Jurors, right, jurors.
Okay. Expound on that a little bit, because that's an interesting concept.
Well, in America, in this form of republic democracy, there's no place where any decision is supposed to be made that affect the people or the behavior of people without the express representation of men and women who, the common term they would use, who are common people. Men and women are their peers. So here, if someone goes before a magistrate or judge, it's their peers who have to sit in jury to decide whether or not the legal folk, the government bureaucracy are being fair, whether or not the information brought to them are fair and just, and whether or not the judge is not independent on this. The jury is also there to make sure the judge is acting judiciously, the prosecutor is working. So yes, just like we're doing government, just like we're doing civic affairs, also in the judicial affairs, the citizens are also responsible for how justice is actually presented and carried out.
Okay.
We'll never appoint, one of the things, we'll never appoint in America where the politician, whether it's the president or anyone, have a blank check to do what they want to do. It's the citizen that gives them this check. It's the citizen, the one that has that turn around and say, hey, I'll let the politician think for me. I mean, because everything in this country evolves around politics. Politics determine the quality of water. Politics determine the quality of air. Politics determine where your street lights will be, if they're going to be in the sidewalks. The politicians decide that. The politicians decide whether or not your job will be safe, the bridge will be safe, whether or not the car you drive on the left side or right side, and the quality of the manufacturers. Politicians, this is all political based.
Right, right. And as you say that, as we as citizens have the really the need to act as jurors to evaluate what our elected officials are doing and not doing for us. Do you think people really understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Because sometimes folk will do things.
I just think they're lazy.
They're just lazy.
It's easy to allow other people to think for you. It's easy to allow other people to do for you. It's easy to allow other people. I mean, we learn some behavior from a child. It's easy to let mom and dad take care of me.
Okay. Yeah, because you look, some of these folks will get elected and then reelected and reelected over and over again. But at the same time, the public's complaining about the quality of whatever service that they're receiving. So it seems like those two things don't quite go together.
In Richmond County, we almost 50,000 Richmond County people have been purged in the last 2 years. Purged because they haven't voted in 2 voting cycles, which is a total of 8 years. Purged because they don't see the need to go and exercise their responsibility. I'm not just saying right. It is a responsibility to vote, just as a responsibility to serve on jury duty.
Okay. And as you talk about folks who aren't voting on a regular basis, then they get purged off the voter rolls. What role does Greater Augusta's Interfaith Coalition play in terms of making sure that does not happen?
Greater Augusta Interfaith operated in 3 veins. One thing we try to operate is to protect the citizens' ability to vote, to have access to communication, to the apparatus that's in place, the structure apparatus that's in place. So one of the things we do, we protect the vote by making sure that we can vote, whether it's happening on the local level, state level, or national level. The second way that Greater Augusta work is by educating citizens to know that they have the power to choose, know that they have a power to be able to address the matters And that part of the educational piece is to bring them together so that therefore we can talk among ourselves and come up with some form of construct to address the problem. And the third area, which is the most important, is that we help them to vote. We help them to, we don't tell them who to vote for, but we help them to get to the polls to vote. We give them the information they need about the candidates who are voting so they can make informed decisions among themselves as to which candidate will better serve their interests. And so Greater Augusta believe in serving out 100% citizen and voter participation because we believe in this representative democracy. Every citizen has the responsibility to hold themselves accountable for the direction that we're in.
And as you think about the notion of 100% voter participation, that seems so far from where we are right now. I think in the May elections, we had so many offices, judgeships, commissioners' races, the mayor's race, and then the primaries for various statewide offices that really do have a lot of control over our quality of life. The voter turnout was maybe 28%, I think, on May 24th, if my memory serves correctly. And then for the runoff election, where there were fewer offices on the ballot, I think it was around 19%, maybe.
It was the opposite. It was like 19%, around 18 and 19% in the first election on May 24th, okay. And it went up to about 28% by the time we went to the runoff. Okay. But there again, just think about it. You elect someone to be a judge, to be in the whole of judicial role with less than 50%. Mm-hmm. You allow commissioners to get elected with less than 50%. I mean, if you take what we learned in school, if you make 50%, that's a failure. That's a failing grade. I mean, you're failure. You didn't even wake up to come to school. Mm-hmm. Here, some people like to criticize, but it is a failure in the system. And one of the things Greater Augusta try and do, we try and seek out to find out what is the problem. Why is it that we're nonchalant about our situation? Why is it that people don't want to engage? And we find out more and more, not only people, I used the term earlier that people are lazy, but what happened is that people become so complacent in there and they're not being involved until it's almost like when you sit in a chair a long time, it's hard to get up. That's the way it is when it comes to voting citizen participation. Once we get sitting in that lounge chair and get comfortable, it's hard to get up. Mm-hmm. That's why a lot of us are obese, because we sit in that comfortable chair. We don't, we turn on the TV and watch it till the sun go down, the sun come up, and we mess around and find out we hadn't cut grass in a month or two. But that's the way we are also, citizen and voter participation.
And as Greater Augusta Interfaith takes on, as you said, on a number of ways, you're trying to improve voter education and voter participation. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you have going on right now that work toward that goal?
Well, right now we're trying to improve citizen voting in this current election that we're in now. We're coming out with another slogan. One thing about Greater Augusta, what we're doing the Collard Green Festival, or we're trying to fight for the power. Right now, our slogan is that, it asks people to show their power and vote, because we believe that it's still important for us to vote. So what Greater Augusta is we're providing rides to the poll. We, early in the morning, we're taking people from the various locations to go to the polls to vote. We pick them up, whether we're at Peabody, we're picking up at the nursing homes, or whether we're picking up at the various apartments. And our telephone line is available 24/7 for people to call in, 706-707-9500. If someone wants a ride to the polls, we provide transportation to them to poll. And also we're getting ready for a series of voting parties. We call them voting parties. We're looking at the coming in with the last 2 weeks in this month right here, where we're looking at Saturday voting and Sunday voting on the 29th. We're looking at throughout Augusta, Columbia County, McDuffie County, Jenkins County, Hancock County, trying to come up with a mirage of opportunity to have the voting parties, the precinct party, the community party close to the voting places, so that we can have a hamburger, hot dog, and still take people to the polls at the same time. We can have a good time and still take people to the poll. We're trying to, like I said earlier, we're trying to come up with many ways to try to inspire people to get up. We're trying to come up with to impress people to get up. We're trying to come up with many ways we possibly can to encourage our citizens to do their part and become responsible. We believe that at Greater Augusta Interfaith Coalition, there's nothing affecting the citizens in our area that does not affect Greater Augusta Interfaith Coalition. So likewise, we believe that our citizens have to be more involved, get involved in whatever match we have to strike, whatever we have to do to put some fire under us, we would do that.
Okay. At last week's episode of Local Matters, I mentioned about the transportation you are providing to the polls from various senior apartment complexes. If you could give us that phone number one more time so people know where to call to determine what that schedule is.
706-707-9500. 706-707-9500. Greater Augusta Interfaith Coalition. No one there, leave a message. We'll pick up, promptly call you back and schedule your pickup. Because to us, we're not going to be satisfied until we reach 100% voting citizen participation. I mean, I know you mentioned earlier that's a high mark. I know, but I know one thing. Our neighboring county, which is Columbia County, boasts about having 76% of the people to vote. 70% of their people to vote.
Yeah.
And we're titling on the 60. But just imagine what would happen if we can get 90 and 100%. We'll be able to make sure all of our elected officials are accountable. We'll make sure that we won't have potholes. We'll still be complaining about having these drainage problems we've been having for the last 50, 11 years, if I use that. Where we have splash money after splash money fixing drains, and yet we still have drain problems. We don't have sidewalks in most of Augusta. It's hard for us, and yet because we have such a low percentage of people who are voting and participating, it's easy for politicians to ignore us. To ignore people, because you know why? I flop on the other side, just people that don't care, and they'll give me a pat on the back and say, I'm doing a good job, when I know I am failing.
Okay, very good. And the events that you mentioned, hamburgers and hot dogs and chips and things, I think you're going to be developing a calendar of those events, because we at Local Matters would love to help you get that information out to the public. So if you could, as soon as you get that calendar of events out, I'll let our listeners know where those events are so that we can help you meet your goal of 100% voter participation.
Well, we appreciate any help we can get along the way in our website. You can go to find us on our Facebook. They say they have a good Facebook page with Greater Augusta. Everything is always evolving. You can go facebook.com/Greater AIC, and you'll see every fine work we're doing with Greater Augusta Interfaith Coalition. We're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for people willing to give us a nickel dime to help us with buying hamburger, cheeseburger, and anything else to try to inspire people and help people to vote. So we believe in utilizing every means necessary that's legal. Don't get me wrong, it's legal to get all people involved to vote. Some people say, well, you're trying to buy people votes. I'm not trying to buy people vote, but to me, it's easy for someone to go and vote if their stomach has some food in it. So we try and make sure we try to make it easy, try to impress people to say, look, you go and exercise your right to vote. Because one of the things we're confident, let me share this with you. Greater Augusta Interfaith is confident that if folk go and vote, we will have better community. We will have better electorate, because there was the famous slogan that was made. I like to share this with you. There's a famous slogan that I heard. Said, you get what you elect.
I wonder who told you that.
None other than Janice Allen Jackson said, you get what you elect. So if you don't elect anything, guess what? That's what you have.
Yeah.
And that's a true statement.
And let me tell you how I came up with that one day, and it was a long time ago. I was working in Albany at the time. I was at a public forum. I was serving on a panel, and some guy came up and he was complaining about this, that, and everything. And I was just so fed up as he was talking. I said, look, sir, you get what you elect. So people really have to understand, as you said, that it is our responsibility to put the right people in place. And it is our responsibility as citizens to hold people accountable when they're not delivering what we need to have in order to improve our quality of life, in order to build a better community. So yeah, I say it all the time. You get what you elect.
And fortunately, I said fortunately, I believe it's like anything else. We keep sitting on that nail gonna hurt us enough to it, we'll get up. And so one of the things that Greater Augusta is trying to do is try and let everyone know that we're sitting on a nail. We're sitting on a nail. We can make our community a better place. We make our school system better. We make our neighborhood better. But we can't do it sitting on that nail and complaining.
Okay. All right. Very good. We got a few minutes left. Is there anything else that you want to share with our Local Matters viewers? And this is one of the episodes that is going to be available via YouTube as well as podcasts and radio versions too. So for those of our viewers as well as our listeners, is there anything else that you want to share with them as they get prepared for November 8th?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you and Local Matters for inviting us on again. Thank you for inviting us on even during the census when the pandemic came on, and Greater Augusta Interfaith were about the only ones out there working during the census program because, again, government shut down because, you know, the ones we elect want us to have a census but didn't have anybody on the street to work the census. So Greater, thank you for allowing, you know, to work with the Greater Augusta Interfaith to allow us to help with the census counting. As we get ready, Greater Augusta, once a year, we starting back up this year to have our pre-legislative luncheon before the legislators go to the General Assembly. Then also in the month of February, somewhere along around the time of the of Valentine's Day, the Greater Augusta Interfaith, we celebrate the Greater Augusta Interfaith Day at the Georgia General Assembly in Atlanta. We always invite people to come and go with us so that therefore they get a chance to see not only the Augusta delegation at work, but they also get a chance to see other elected officials who represent them in the state of Georgia, so that therefore they'll know, you know, they'll be able to go to them and say, look, I need this, we need this. We need to advocate for all people at all places, and we can't sit at home. And we can't stay here in Augusta and expect for things to change in Atlanta, nor things to change in DC. We have to get up and go. Just as we have to go to the polls to vote, we also have to go where decisions are being made and make our voices heard. And so we're here again at Greater Augusta Interfaith. We seek 100% voter and citizen participation and engagement, because we believe, just like anything else, if you leave something alone, it may go the wrong direction. So we need things to go the right direction. That's the direction of the people. We try to be here for the people. And that's what we've been trying to do since 1998. We try to be here for the people.
Okay. All right. And there are a couple other things that you said that I just want to go back to so that everybody's clear. You mentioned donations. Are you all a tax deductible? Are donations to Greater Augusta Interfaith tax deductible?
Greater Augusta Interfaith is a 501c3 public, nonprofit, nonpartisan corporation. We're an IRS, nonprofit, so all contribution made to Greater Augusta Interfaith is 100% tax deductible, and you can write off as well. Anything you want to bequest to us, donate to us, is a part of Greater Augusta. We're grateful to receive any support we can get from anywhere.
Okay. And if there are any people who are interested in volunteering, how do they do that? And if somebody showed up on your doorstep today, what would you tell them to do?
Let's go to work.
Okay. And how would you
we have phone calls to make, to call people to say, look, it's time to vote. It's time to vote. If you don't know the candidates by now, it's almost like that song say, if you don't know me by now, you never know me. But it's the time you need to go and vote. You go and just go, just close your eyes, say, I vote like this. Just as long as you vote. Right now, I'd rather for you to vote for the wrong person than not to vote at all. So let's go and vote. And also we have people canvassing, knocking on doors, again, encouraging people to vote. We even paying them $600 a week to come out and just knock on doors and just say, let's go and vote, let's go and vote, let's go and vote. And then you turn around and we'll take them to the polls too. You can't get no better service in Greater Augusta Interfaith Coalition.
All righty. And as you mentioned that, so some of the opportunities would be volunteer opportunities and some of them actually would be paid opportunities.
Yeah, like I said, we right now is election season, so we are offering some compensation to those who have, because some of us are part of the old and the nervous group. We can't walk around, but we can make a contribution, nickels and dimes, to help the young people to knock on the doors. And at the same time, we can pick up the telephone and call our brothers and sisters and tell them, let's go to vote, let's vote. No excuse for people not vote. There's no excuse for it. Here in 2022, there's no excuse. So we just, any way you can help us to get the word out, any way your citizen can help us to get the word out, any way anyone can help us to get the word. Greater Augusta is here for the people. And we're here to be a voice for the people, but we don't believe in speaking. We believe that it's our job to encourage the people to speak for themselves.
Okay. And on that note, we're going to close out. Thank you so much for being a guest on Local Matters.
Thank you again so much, Ms. Jackson, for inviting us. Thank you so much for your strength, the polling, your professionalism. Thank you for the way you've always led and your efforts, even from your role from county managers and all administrators. You've always done an outstanding job. And as I mentioned before, we're very proud of you. We're very proud of your efforts. And we just thank God for all that you do. So I just want to say thank you, Local Matters, and thank you for keeping up the good work. Thank you.
All right. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation. If you did, Local Matters is indeed the place for you. Please check us out because we have a series of good conversations about services, about the need for all of us to get more engaged and how it is that we can make a difference. One of the things that Reverend Johnson mentioned was various events that are coming up. One of those events that's coming up in Augusta is hosted by one of my favorite organizations in the world, and that is the Augusta Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Our Social Action Committee on Saturday, October 29th, is hosting a food fund event at the Eastview Community Center, 644 Aiken Street, Augusta, Georgia, 30901. We'll be there from about 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. Our friends at Perry Broadcasting are going to do a live remote from that location where we encourage folks to come out to the Eastview Community Center, have a little fun, eat some burgers and hot dogs, and get a ride to the polls. So if you live in that area, if you're within walking distance of that area, but you don't have transportation to go vote, please come on out. Greater Augusta Interfaith Coalition will have a van available to transport you to the polls so that you can do your civic duty and participate in this very, very important process. Thank you again for being so much a part of the Local Matters family. If you have ideas about other shows that you would like to see us do, topics you would like to see us cover, other guests that we might bring in, please leave a comment below so that we can hear directly from you. Blessings.